Heavy rains causing issues across many areas of central and eastern Kentucky. The latest hour-by-hour outlook is coming up.
Some people in Clark County are still stuck in their homes because of high water over their driveway.
We look into the history behind one Lexington Park's mysterious gravestones.
WKYT News starts now with First Alert Weather.
Good evening and thanks for watching. Showers and thunderstorms continue to move through the bluegrass this evening with several areas under a flash flood watch.
So we have declared today a first alert severe weather day. We want to get right to WKYT Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey. Chris?
Yeah, heaviest rains that fell across the area this morning off to our east. Second little surge of juice is out there now into eastern and southeastern Kentucky. And I'm also watching a thunderstorm complex, small one, into parts of southern Indiana. You mentioned it's been a busy day, and your Defender Radar Network walking you through the day, tracking those rounds of heavy rain from London, Corbin, down into parts of Knox County, Bell County, Whitley County getting in on some heavier rain. So far, we have not had any reports of renewed flash flooding out of this rain, which is a little more gentle brand compared to how we started out the day. Still, though, a heavier burst on top of McKee into Jackson County. To the west of Mount Vernon, west of 75, things begin to calm down just a little bit. I-64, maybe a peak of sun over the next hour. Bluegrass region starting to see a little peak of sun, but look to our northwest. Showers and thunderstorms, small in nature here into parts of Grant and Owen counties and back into Henry County, but that stuff is just beginning to increase. In this thunderstorm cluster to the northwest of Louisville toward Bowling or the Bloomington area is going to try to ride toward the southeast. So there's a little boundary that is out there, and what will happen, that little complex of storms will then dive toward the southeast, maybe in weakening fashion by the time it gets into central Kentucky. But guys, we're not out of the woods just yet. And coming up here in a little over 10 minutes, I'll show you exactly why with that new hour-by-hour forecast.
Chris, thank you. And you just heard him say flooding remains a problem in several communities in central and eastern Kentucky. Take a look. This photo comes to us from Olive Hill in Carter County, where Mills Branch is out of its banks.
It's a lot of water right there. Victor Puente is in Clark County, where people are also having trouble with high water. He continues our First Alert weather team coverage.
The creek behind me rose so quickly this morning, it trapped some people in their homes. Even a few hours after it started to recede, there are still people stuck on the other side of that water. Somewhere under this water is a bridge, unusable to the people who live here. It's a similar story just a few homes up Old Ruckerville Road.
I just felt bad for my neighbor because he doesn't have a bridge, and he came down, watched his car like flood, and drove back up the hill.
Kylie Standish found out the water was rising behind her home when the men hired to mow her lawn told her they'd have to wait until the water receded.
And it came so fast. When we left Lexington this morning, it was just showers. And we get over here, and I mean, the rain was just crazy. I mean, it was coming down in torrents.
Josh Pascal is a weather watcher for the National Weather Service when he's not doing yard work.
It rose very quickly, very quickly. I would say, just a guesstimation, just a few inches and maybe less than half an hour. I mean,
the water made it to the back steps of this home, but didn't go any further. But still hasn't gone down enough to let everyone back onto the main road.
It was kind of scary, a little bit nerve-wracking.
It wasn't just the creek they had to deal with. County workers tell me they also had trees go down across several roads that they had to take care of. In Clark County, Victor Puente, WKYT.
Clark County dispatchers tell us they did not have any other serious issues caused by flooding.
We want you to keep up with the forecast anytime on our website, WKYT.com, or with the WKYT News app. You can download it for free in the app or Google Play stores.
Neighbors in one Jackson County community are uneasy right now after an incident involving two sheriff's deputies.
It happened this morning in Jackson County off of US 421, not far from Berea. Police say William Gross is accused of reporting a false shooting, then attacking deputies when they got there, injuring one of them. Hillary Thornton talked to neighbors.
Just before 6:30 this morning, deputies say a 911 call came in that someone had been shot at this home on D&M Road.
Well, I was kind of curious what I saw, what I heard. I look out the window and I see a police go by the first thing.
Tim Hobbs has lived on this loop for 16 years and says this morning's events add to his recent feelings of uneasiness in his own home due to what he calls increased activity.
The outside traffic, the people coming through, doing whatever they're doing, that concerns me. I mean, whenever you can't lay down and sleep of the night for traffic going up and down the road, what are they to do in this neighborhood at 2, 3, or 4 o'clock in the morning?
The Jackson County Sheriff says once his deputies got to the home here on D&M Road, they quickly realized that report of a shooting was false.
Deputies talking with the woman inside of that home who told them she and her boyfriend had been asleep and nothing was going on. They then asked if anyone else was inside, eventually discovering a man barricaded inside of a bedroom. Deputies asking through the window and the door for that man, now identified as William Gross, to come out. After Gross refused, a deputy forced his way in. The sheriff says that deputy was then violently attacked by Gross, who is now accused of reporting that false shooting.
They come up here and they risk their life for something that ain't worth a crap, and then they end up getting hurt in the process.
The deputy forced to use his taser. Ultimately, he was arrested. The sheriff saying he was either under the influence of drugs or mentally ill. Both he and the deputy were taken to the hospital with minor injuries. In Jackson County, Hillary Thornton, WKYT.
Gross and the deputy have both been released from the hospital. Gross is charged with falsely reporting an incident, burglary, and resisting arrest.
A Central Kentucky Police Department says it is done with body cameras just 1 year after they were implemented. Our county-by-county coverage at 5:30 begins in Nelson County. Bardstown Mayor John Royalty says the cameras have had problems since the police force began using them in August of last year. He says that some of the cameras only have a charge of 3 hours. There's also a problem, he says, with data management.
When they put those cameras into a docking station, and when they're downloaded, sometimes information is lost.
The mayor says he would like to have a preliminary plan in place about a new body camera system within the next 90 days. In Boyle County, a man was arrested after trying to run from a traffic stop. Police say that Timothy Turner was wanted for violating his parole. When police stopped him, he gave them a fake name and then ran. After arresting Turner, police found a large amount of cash and oxycodone pills. He now faces several charges, including possession, resisting arrest, and assault of a police officer.
The Kentucky Lottery today announced their problem gambling hotline service is now available via text message or chat. In addition to speaking to counselors on the phone, people with a gambling problem can now text 1-800-GAMBLER or have an online chat on the Kentucky Lottery's website. Staff can help people find a local Gamblers Anonymous chapter or find other forms of help.
It's kind of us keeping up with the way that people are communicating now. Especially younger folks are much more adept and much more comfortable with sending a text message than actually rather having a conversation with somebody about something like this. We want to make it as easy as we could for them to reach out for help.
That service is available 24 hours a day.
Lexington Park has a small cemetery fenced off on the property. Robert has a good question about this place that goes way back. He says, as I was walking around, I noticed that this actually is some type of graveyard. I asked a few people at the park about it, and most didn't know anything about it. Well, now I leave it up to you and WKYT to let me know. Robert, I went out to Wellington Park today off Wellington Way, and the graveyard was pretty easy to find. I took these pictures of some very old grave markers. I also contacted the mayor's office, and they say there is a small family graveyard that was in place when we obtained the Wellington Park property given to the city when Reynolds Tobacco closed the Reynolds Road facility. Now, some years ago, an Eagle Scout, they say, cleared weeds and built the fence to protect the markers. Some are broken and some have settled, but on the advice of both local and state historic preservationists, the Scout was advised to leave them as they were found and not try to fix them. Well, I did some deeper checking on the internet, and it appears that this is the Joseph Beard family that came from Ireland, with markers dating back to 1838. Robert, thanks for that question. To submit a good question, send an email to goodquestion@wkyt.com.
An incident in Florida takes a romantic turn for a Kentucky couple. That story in 6 minutes here on WKYT.
I'm Bill Bryant. Hillary Clinton will accept the Democratic nomination tonight. Mitch McConnell works to hold a Republican Senate majority, and some may be heading for the border to save on school supplies. The bottom line is ahead.
Keep up with the latest news on WKYT.com. Join the conversation on Twitter and become a part of the WKYT Facebook family.
Tonight, Hillary Clinton makes her case for why voters should put her in the White House.
Meanwhile, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is working to keep Republicans in control of Congress. Bill Bryant has more in the bottom line.
Good evening. Hillary Clinton accepts the Democratic presidential nomination tonight. Her campaign says she will lean heavily on her campaign theme of Stronger Together, and she will continue to reach out to moderate Republicans and independents. Clinton appeared on stage at the convention last night with President Obama. It came after he gave a speech that talked about the 8 years of his administration, gave warnings about Republican nominee Donald Trump, and praised Clinton for her experience and temperament.
There has never been a man or a woman, not me, not Bill, nobody, more qualified than Hillary Clinton to serve as President of the United States of America.
Vice President Joe Biden also spoke to Democrats, and Virginia Senator Tim Kaine accepted the nomination for vice president on Clinton's ticket. Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell is working to help Republicans keep a majority in the Senate, but he's on the move in his home state as well. McConnell spoke to the Chamber of Commerce in Bourbon County today before taping an interview with me here at WKYT for this weekend's Kentucky Newsmakers. We talked about his autobiography called The Long Game and about the current contest for the White House and for Congress. Tennessee's back-to-school tax-free weekend starts at midnight tonight and runs through Sunday night. It means no sales tax on most clothing and school supplies valued at $100 or less per item. It also applies to most computer purchases of less than $1,500. Kentucky has studied the possibility of having a tax-free weekend over the years, but lawmakers have concluded that the state can't afford to lose the revenue. The University of Louisville is looking for a new president now that James Ramsey is resigning. U of L will pay Ramsey nearly $700,000 in a severance deal worked out behind closed doors. Bill Bryant, WKYT.
An Ashland couple had a frightening encounter while on vacation in Florida, but it ended up being a happy moment. Stephen Worthington and his girlfriend Allison Crow were walking on a pier in Daytona Beach when Worthington was stabbed. Daytona Beach police made it to the scene in just minutes and arrested John Debo. But while the couple was waiting in an ambulance, Worthington decided he was going to propose right then and there.
So the firemen were there and they were actually washing the blood away as I was on one knee asking her to marry me.
It was really, really a big surprise, and I'll never forget it. It will be a story to tell everybody from now on out.
Well, we're just glad that he's okay. The couple says they don't plan on pressing any charges for the attack. They are more focused on planning their big day.
It is a WKYT First Alert Severe Weather Day where we've had some flooding for parts of the region a little earlier today. How about that tropical sky in Lexington? And for the first time in a while, it isn't raining. 77, our current temperature. Humidity is way up there at 82%. Here's what we're dealing with on your Defender Radar Network. Second wave of rainfall now exiting southeastern Kentucky over the next couple of hours. You're getting in on some heavier downpours from London and points to the east. Look at the thunder and lightning now gearing up southeast of Williamsburg into parts of Bell County. That extends to the east and the northeast as well. So some local stream and street flooding a possibility with some of those heavier downpours, especially if we get in on some more thunderstorm action starting to build. Toward the Mountain Parkway corridor and south, you got those heavier rains. To the north of that, we begin to see it tapering off somewhat the closer we get to Interstate 64. So we're getting a little drier weather now from Moorhead into Owingsville and into Mount Sterling, where we had flooding, parts of Clark County earlier in the day. Flash flooding Lexington area, east side of town, picking up greater than 2 inches of rain. West side of town, about 1.5 inches or so on the day so far. But look what's beginning to pop here around Frankfort and northwest toward Newcastle and Owenton. Showers and thunderstorms that you may start to see a little lightning and hear a rumble of thunder from this stuff that is out there northwest of the capital city. It's going to try to connect with some showers and storms developing slow movers here south of Bloomington into sections of northern parts of the Louisville metro over the next hour and change. What is there telegraphing where it's going to go, and that would be toward the southeast over the next few hours. Ground is waterlogged. It cannot handle much juice. So we're getting that wave of rain to exit southeastern Kentucky, but then look at all the storms out to our west. Low pressure is spinning across the region. It's actually going to dive its way toward the south. You may even see a little wave of low pressure developing along this front as we go into later Friday and especially Saturday. That would kind of up the ante for some showers and thunderstorms. But by tomorrow, this is inching closer to the region. Then on Saturday, you get another wave of some very heavy rain producing showers and storms. Let's watch this little cluster of storms through Louisville into Frankfort and toward the Lexington metro between 9 and 11 o'clock, weakening the closer it gets to central Kentucky. You get into the evening hours, we may start to see a little decrease, but I'm also going to watch for the possibility for some late night showers and thunderstorms to go up as well. So over the next 3 days, a storm or two around tomorrow. Heavy downpours with any storm that goes up. It's a tropical environment. And over the next few days, we're going to likely see some flash flooding again across Kentucky. Can't tell you exactly where it's going to be. I can just tell you with some certainty that we're going to see some pockets of flooding as we go into especially later Friday, then more so on Saturday. Doesn't mean it's going to happen where you are. Doesn't mean it's going to rain all the time. Storm or two left over on Sunday, still on the humid side as the ground is just saturated now and all that water is just going to steam it up over the next week as temperatures take a little dip on Saturday with an increase in showers and storms, and we'll ramp it back up as we go into next week. And those thunderstorm chances will hang tough right on into the first week of August. August, he says.
It's going to be very squishy out there and all this water that just
It is. And you know
coming.
what, next week for some of the school systems, it's back to school week in eastern Kentucky.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, kiddos. I wish I could have given you a better summer.
Well,
4 in a row now. It hasn't been so nice.
It's terrible when the end of summer ends like
I know,
this
right?
for sure. Thanks, Chris.
Live look at Lexington rush hour traffic and several collisions working around the city right now. Most are non-injury, but the police are still on the scene of a crash that is outbound Harrodsburg Road, that one at the Circle. The north side is looking a lot better. We've cleared up 2 of the collisions there. Drive times this afternoon affected on Nicholasville Road. Also 75 actually looks okay to Richmond, about 24 minutes, and to Paris, 21 minutes on Paris Pike. Now back to you in the studio.
Just ahead, a change coming for the UK radio network this fall.
Well, he has been a familiar and knowledgeable voice around UK athletics for so very long. Oscar Combs makes an announcement, and the level of frustration, will it lower a little for Mark Stoops this season? He's expecting a better team. That's next in sports. Stay with us. Kentucky football moving into its new practice facility next week. The players report for fall workouts 1 week from today. In the meantime, Mark Stoops and his staff speaking at a couple of kickoff luncheons today and tomorrow. Stoops, along with coordinators Eddie Grant and DJ Elliott, doing the annual Greater Louisville Alumni Luncheon this afternoon. Stoops told the group he's optimistic about his team. His expectations are high. He expects improved results this season.
I feel good about where we're going, and you know, the results, who knows what's going to happen. I can't control the results right now. We can control what we've done to prepare to put ourselves in a position to win. I feel much better about that, and I think it's fair to say that you know, part of that's frustration, or whatever, whether you're getting into practice, you're getting into camp, you're getting into, the amount of reps that you're doing, the length of practices, and as you look at injuries and depth and all those things, I feel like we're in a much better position.
After 20 years, Oscar Combs is stepping away from the UK radio network. Oscar announced his decision on Twitter today. He said he wouldn't go into details, but he has decided to turn to another chapter in his life. Combs said he's enjoyed nothing more than interacting and sharing stories with the Big Blue Nation over the last 2 decades. And Kentucky State has a new athletics director, William Graham, a former men's basketball coach and a member of the KSU Hall of Fame. Graham was a part of 2 NAI national championship teams, 1970 and 71, serving as captain on those teams. He coached the men's team from 1989 to 1996. Kentucky Derby winner Nyquist will be on the rail for Sunday's Haskell at Monmouth Park. He is the 6-5 favorite in what will be his first race since the Preakness. Exaggerator is the 5-2 second choice. He'll be on the extreme outside. Gunrunner, 3rd place finisher in the Derby, is at 3-1. And the opening round of the PGA Championship at Baltusrol. Jimmy Walker in the clubhouse, 5 under 65. He has a one-shot lead. Martin Keimer is just finishing right now. It was a good day for Jason Day. He shot 68. Phil Mickelson is 71. Not a good day for Rory McIlroy. 74. J.B. Holmes of 5 over 75. In the next half hour, Anderson County on 27 teams in 27 days. Stay with us.